Hello and welcome to another Illinois Gender Advocates evening. So we're here for half an hour to talk about Illinois Gender Advocates. We're also going to talk about, my name is Casey and I have a person here from the Broadway Youth Center. I'm actually also from the Broadway Youth Center, which is a program of Howard Brown Health Center. We're going to talk about different trans topics, and really we're going to look at how to be a trans ally, so how to be an ally to the transgender community. Just to give you a little bit of background about Howard Brown Health Center, we are the largest gay, lesbian, bisexual, and transgender healthcare agency in the Midwest. We specialize in all sorts of really great health for that HIV care. We have a psychosocial department, so behavioral health department, where we have good therapy and different support groups for the community. We also have a really great research department. Am I missing things? We have finance, of course, because we need to fund ourselves.
Primary care.
So primary care, which basically somebody could go and see a doctor for just like a regular physical, or if you have like a cold, or if you're infected with HIV or an STD, it's a really wonderful place to go because we have sliding scale healthcare, and we can drop down to as little as $10, which is wonderful. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Broadway Youth Center, and we can introduce ourselves a little bit more after that? Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so the Broadway Youth Center is a part of Howard Brown, but we're at a separate location. We serve basically lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender youth from 13 to 24 years old. We have a 2-floor facility where basically we have a lot of similar services to what is offered at Howard Brown, but slightly different. We have basically drop-in medical services, HIV and STD testing and treatment. We have a number of different support and social groups for our youth. Also, a number of different research programs with youth that come out of the Broadway Youth Center, including specifically work with young transgender people, young MSMs, meaning men who have sex with men. Also, we are specifically dealing a lot with homeless youth. So our inclusive thing specifically is lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and homeless youth and allies. So anyone along that spectrum. And all of our services, including everything, are free of charge for youth. So.
Including seeing a doctor or seeing a therapist at our site, which is really wonderful because there's not a lot of places where you can get those services for free. I'm going to tell you also a little bit about Tyra, which is a support group that we have for our transgender youth. And Tyra meets every Wednesday night at the Broadway Youth Center. I'm going to put a little Tyra picture up for you. So this is kind of our logo, which is really amazing because this was created by actually a youth participant, a transgender participant. And we're a youth drop-in center. We meet every Wednesday at the Broadway Youth Center. You can contact me, Casey, if you want more information. My phone number is listed above. And this is for people that are transgender youth or people that are questioning their gender identity. Okay, so we talked a little bit about the services at Howard Brown Health Center. We talked a little bit about BYC. I just want to remind you all that this is a program that features Illinois Gender Advocates, and Illinois Gender Advocates is a proud collaborator with our Tyra Youth Program, so our trans youth program that exists out of the Broadway Youth Center. Oh, I want to tell you also about a really great group that happens at the at Howard Brown Health Center for adults, and I'm going to put this up. It's called Tea Time. Okay, and let's see if I can zoom in a little. There we go. So Tea Time, which is it's a transgender and intersex discussion group that meets it meets I believe the first
and third.
Thank you. The first and third Monday of the month at 6:30 from 6:30 to 8:30, and there's a meal served for that as well. Okay, so that's Tea Time. So trans stuff. So what else is going on at the BYC? I know there's good research opportunities for trans youth.
There definitely are. There's 2 specific opportunities that are brewing right now that are very exciting for us. One is called Life Skills, and one is called Twista. Let me start actually with Twista, which is basically, it's a specific group that is actually not research specific, but it is for transgender youth, specifically young trans women of color. So again, actually 16 to 24 as opposed to 13. But basically, Twista is a group that's going to be meeting in 6-session blocks with small groups of about 6 to 10 people per 6-session block. It's actually going to be running for 5 years. So this is an awesome opportunity for us to really serve our youth.
Keeps us employed for 5 years.
Yay! So, right. So, but Twista specifically deals with a lot of work that is about, assertive behaviors and, how to really protect yourself in terms of safer sex, but also safer injection, all sorts of stuff that young trans women deal with. So that's very exciting. Then Life Skills is actually a similar program, however, it is a research project that is going to be going on for 2 years. That basically has a lot of similar aspects to Twista, except that it's not specific to young trans women of color, it's just young trans women in general. And then it's going to have a more specific direction towards things that would be considered life skills, such as resume building, how to find safe housing, how to advocate for yourself within a medical setting, all of those things. And then again, work dealing with safer sex, safer injection, assertive behavior, all of those things. So those are great.
And to remind you, this is an Illinois Gender Advocates show, and we're here from the Broadway Youth Center. My name is Casey, and this is Vea. And Vea, do you want to tell us a little bit about what you do at the Broadway Youth Center?
Sure. I am actually the person who writes the curricula for Life Skills and Twista, so that's a really exciting position for me to be in. And then each of those projects, after they're finished being developed, Twista is just about to be implemented. Will go on to be facilitated. Twista will be facilitated by 2 of our wonderful colleagues, and Life Skills will be facilitated by myself and another person yet to be hired. Check our website. And so that's basically what I do there, in addition to co-facilitating our youth group Tyra with Casey and being a guest star co-facilitator at tea time sometimes. And some other kind of general education work with my colleague Casey here and a couple of others, working with a number of different groups around the city to do sort of Trans 101 education pieces, also trans HIV empowerment groups, different things like that. So that's primary stuff. What about you?
Thank you. I was going to say, do you want to ask me what I do?
I do.
My title at the Broadway Youth Center is Transgender Youth Specialist. So I work a lot with the trans youth that come in through our doors in a number of different settings, such as like our drop-in, in testing services, so for HIV and STD testing. I also facilitate with VEA, our Tyra youth program, which stands for Trans Youth Resource and Advocacy. And I do a lot of stuff out in the community, so you might see me in the community at different events, behind a table, or presenting in front of you.
And he does it so well.
Yeah, it's fun. It's good. It's good to get out there. It feels actually really good. So how did you get, what brought you into this kind of work?
Well, specifically, I went to school and sort of majored in gender studies and socioeconomics, and I was driven to do that really from my own background, sort of where I came from and what I really cared about the most. So that led me kind of right to here, and I've done a lot of nonprofit work before this, dealing mostly with stuff around socioeconomics and youth. So this is sort of a good placement for me on a personal level. So what about you?
I had kind of a similar sort of in my schooling was sort of geared towards working within different communities, doing different, I guess, community organizing, which is really awesome. It's really cool to get a program like that in school. I came out, personally, I came out when I was probably about 19. I'm 27 now, as trans, and I started physical transition when I was about 20, and I went from female to male, and that's something that's pretty shocking to a lot of people. So, because it's fun to come out on air because people never believe me, and sometimes they call in and they're like, "What are you talking about?"